Hey friends, welcome back to the show. I am so excited about today's episode because I'm sitting down with someone whose story is going to seriously inspire you to think bigger and do your business differently. Today, I am joined by Tarah, a powerhouse in the real estate world who walked away from a $600,000 plus career every single year, not just because she couldn't do it anymore, but because she wanted more than just success. She was craving impact. Fast forward, she's now built a multiple six-figure coaching business online, helping real estate agents and builder reps break free from outdated strategies and create predictable, scalable income without cold calling, listing, or burnout. In this conversation, we're diving into the mindset behind her massive pivot, how she's rebuilt her business from the ground up, and the frameworks that allowed her to not only replace her income, but also double it. If you've ever wondered what it looks like to bet on yourself, this episode is going to light a fire under you. So let's get into it. You walked away from this very successful real estate career, making over $600,000 in a year, something that most people would never even dream of doing. What made you decide to ultimately take that leap?
I think it was fulfillment. I mean, that's actually easy. It's not even I think I know. So, coming from a background and a history where I didn't have, I grew up very poor. We didn't have a lot of financial security or stability. That was the main thing that I was seeking in life. So, as I became an adult, like I am going to, and I think as women, also like society kind of trains us, like we've got to be these boss women, these CEOs, these alphas. I wanted that because with having not that security as a child, like I'm like, well, I will create my own security. So that was just a big driver for me. I wanted my kids to have a life that I never had, and I wanted to feel safe. The problem is, as you get older and you start to make money, you realize that no amount of money fills the hole. And I still had this hole. I realized like I'm trading a lot of time. I miss a lot of weekends with my kids. I miss prom dress shopping. I miss games. I miss, all the things to give them this life. And I still had the hole. So it was golden handcuffs, really. And I thought there's more purpose out there. And I mean, I have a whole story about that. But I mean, one day I just sort of like, I'm willing to give all that up to chase purpose now instead of money. So that's basically it in a nutshell. But yeah, it's purpose. Money is not going to fill that hole that your life needs meaning. So rewinding the story. So Jenna, before you became a coach, a content creator, a digital powerhouse, winning all the awards and the Stan store, and you're like the poster child for success. Take me back to the version of you before that. Okay. And I don't want the story that everybody knows. Like, tell me the story that nobody knows, or, you only talk to your husband about. So, what did life look like? What were you searching for? Like, take us back to that place before we're seeing the Jenna you are today.
So I can relate to a lot of your story too, Tara. And it wasn't that we grew up in a very poor environment. It was that we were the poorest of the people that we surrounded ourselves with. And so I think one of the things that stood out to me as I was growing up was how come everyone else around me is not struggling with money, but my family is. And my parents were always so open about that with us. They were very transparent that, like, guys, we can't afford this or we can't do this. I have a vivid memory of me trying to pay for this field trip and it was $62. And I was the last person to get my check in because my parents were waiting for a deal to close in order to be able to give me that money. And we were just living what really felt like paycheck to paycheck. And my parents did so many things well. And I am so actually grateful for the childhood that they gave me. I'm very close with them today. But even they know that this became a huge driver in my life because I made this commitment very early on, and I get emotional thinking about it because I was like, I'm not going to rewrite that story that I had to live. I will give my kids and my family a different experience. And
Mhm.
there is never going to be a moment where money is going to be the deciding factor if, like, my kids can get a special, experience or healthcare or the way that they, eat their food or any of these things. Really, it's not going to be because of money. It could be, any other reason, but I'm like, it can't be because of finances. And so I knew at a young age that I was destined to do something great. And I share that not to boast on myself, but because it was really put heavily on my heart that I was going to be the one. I was going to be the one in my family that was going to do something different and make a really big impact, but also do it so that my family didn't have to worry. When I saw some of my first successes, it was like my favorite thing in the entire world to be able to be like, Mom, Dad, Like, you don't have to worry. Like, you don't have to worry because that was something that was so vocal. I mean, I have memories of going to bed at night and hearing my dad talk about, like, he can't sleep because he's just worried about our finances, and that's what would keep him up at night, and, being a young girl, you're like, "I wanna be able to do something," and so I did. I started working at age 12. I got my first job, and, I was it you had to be 14, and I got an exception made, and so I was able to start working for $10 an hour at this I was a gate guard for this private, like, tennis club near our house, and I found ways to start working at a very young age. I share that because I know what it's like to feel, that feeling of, "Man, there's gotta be something more out there." I just was determined from a young age to be able to make that happen and rewrite the story for my family.
So I love how you said you found ways, but really you found opportunities, right? You're like, there is opportunities out there, and the gate guard was the first one that you found.
Back to you, Tara. I wanna hear, what were some of the fears and doubts that you felt when you were making that decision to ultimately pivot from selling real estate to going all into coaching? Because I have a lot of followers that listen to this show who are in the exact position that you were in probably 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, where you're, like, feeling that desire on your heart grow stronger and stronger. What were some of those fears, and what was that breakthrough moment for you where you're like, "Okay, I'm doing this and I'm jumping all in?"
I mean, I think they're the traditional fears. What if I fail? What if I don't know how to do this? What if I'm making a big mistake? Our mind has a way, and the enemy has a way of putting a lot of doubts in your mind, a lot of fears in your mind. And then, you've got, well, I've already invested like my entire adult life into this. Who is irresponsible enough to just like throw that away and start something completely new? Like, that's not responsible, Tara. And so you have all these conflicting thoughts. And I am really good at talking myself. Like, I can argue both sides of everything. So on the one side, I'm feeling this pull, this tug for more purpose. I know that something doesn't feel right, that I've stopped growing in this other life that I'm in, and that I'm empty. It's not filling the hole, but I've got all this success, and you've got the money, and you've got the security. I'll tell you, the moment that changed everything was I've had more than one of these in my life. I literally heard a whisper. I'm sitting in my office, my real estate office at my builder that I worked for. It was so clear that it was just basically like, Tara, you're supposed to introduce women to Jesus. Like, that's all I heard. And I was like, what? And I had been having these thoughts. And I had even talked to one of my friends that I had been telling about for a while. I think I might do coaching. And I know for a lot of the listeners, it's not going to, maybe that's not going to be powerful. But the reason it's so powerful is until 2019, for my entire adult life, I had been an atheist. I had only even been invited to know Jesus since 2019. And there's a whole story with that. To hear that voice, and it was the same voice that I heard in 2019, but it was this voice that was like, Tara, like, you're supposed to be introducing women to Jesus. Like, it was just clear, like, you're not supposed to be just selling houses. And there is a lot of purpose in that, right? Like, you're helping someone with the most important purchase of their lives. It's their biggest asset. I took it very seriously my entire life, but it was like, you did that. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, but that does not align, right? And like I told you, I have only been a follower of Jesus since 2019. So I feel like a baby Christian. I feel like not qualified. I feel like an imposter. How am I supposed to take everything that I've been through and then go introduce women to Jesus? Like, it didn't make any sense to me, right? But it was like, you can't deny the voice. I tried to deny it. That was in like the fall of 2023. I ignored it until literally just April of this year, where I was like, you cannot. It just got so strong. It was too much to ignore. It was such a pull that I said, well, I'm doing this and I don't know the way, and I don't feel prepared, and I don't feel qualified. And the funny thing is, every coach, every mentor was like, you have to teach people real estate. That's what you know. Like when you start this business, that's what it's going to be, Tara. And I was like, but that's not what they told me. Like, that's not what I was supposed to do. Like, I'm pretty sure the Holy Spirit told me something different, but I don't know. I could be, I don't know. So I just do it. Do you know that, like, almost every session, anytime I've had a one on one, somehow my client will ask me, and I've always still been too scared to this day to really put it out there much because again, I feel like an imposter. I feel not qualified. Like, who are you? Like, you like, you're going to find out you didn't even believe in Jesus until from 6 years ago. They always say, I can just tell you're a believer. And our conversation always goes to somewhere else where my client is feeling empty to the place that I was, or they're feeling like they come to me because they think they want help with their business. And really, they're feeling just like I was, bankrupt in these other areas, like spiritually, with their bodies, in their relationships. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like the right people find you.
Yep.
But literally, that was the moment. It was a whisper I could not ignore right in my ear, in my office.
Wow.
Yeah. I
This
mean,
I've never heard that story before from you, and
I
that
don't think I've ever told it except to my one friend. Yeah.
so cool, Tara. And I
Yeah.
mean, people know on my show and they know on yours that we're both believers. I actually think it's so amazing when God saves someone and meets them later in their life because you have such this fire, right? This is all I know. I was raised in the church and I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for that. I am so thankful. But at the same time, you can get lukewarm in your faith so easily when
Mhm.
like, "Oh, yeah, it's always been there and I've always had it." And so I think that's so cool that you met Jesus later in life and now you have such a different perspective that you get to share with people what it
Yeah.
feels like to walk without him and with him.
Yeah, it's very different. Very, very different. With that comes like that imposter. Like people talk about that all the time in business, right? Like I've got imposter syndrome. I say I wasn't raised in the church. So I'll just tell this story quickly because I've never told it and I think it may help people. My parents were divorced growing up, and my dad was from a very Catholic family, very Catholic. I mean, grandparents had pictures of the Pope in every room and, never missed mass and all the things. I mostly lived with my mom growing up, and she was a single mom and she worked all the time. And we just weren't, I wouldn't say like she wasn't a believer. She's always been a believer. I think it was more she just didn't have time to take us to church. That wasn't a priority. Like we're barely like we were on food stamps. We didn't have a phone most of my growing like there was lots of things, right? It was just not like what we could do. So I didn't grow up in the church except when I would go visit my dad, over summers and things like that. Like he would go to church. Well, I remember I was like 9 years old, 9 or 10, but definitely like younger elementary school. And we went to church. We went to mass. And I didn't know like the rules of the Catholic Church because I wasn't raised in it, right? And my dad was a great dad, but he was not like a rule follower. Okay. So like he's gonna like, cowboy type. Okay. So he goes up for communion and I don't even think he really was paying attention to me. Like we had aunts and uncles there and stuff. And I just went up too. I didn't know. And I was just doing what everyone else is doing, right? I just got, yep, my dad goes. So I went. I come back. Well, later that afternoon, I got a talking to. I'm not gonna say who in my family, but it was an older relative that was basically like, "You don't ever do that, Tara." And like you gotta think, like I'm 8, 9, 10 years old, no older than that. And I didn't know what I had done wrong, but the message was basically like, "You are not able to go up and take communion. Like you have never had first communion. You and I didn't know what any of that meant. All I knew as a young child was that I was not worthy
Yeah.
for the church.
Yeah.
I was not good enough.
Wow.
I was told like never. And so that really imprinted on me my whole rest of until I'm 19. So until I'm 39 years old, feeling like you grew up feeling like you're not worth like something must be wrong with you. I already have the poverty. So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm deficient here." And now like I've got this family member that I actually loved and respected that was basically like, "You don't ever get to be in church. Like you're not worthy. Don't ever do that again. Like you basically sinned against God by going up and taking communion, right?" And you grow up like, "Wow, I'm just like not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not invited." And then as an adult, you've tried to justify that with, well, that's all fake anyways. God's not real. There's science, right? This is, like that's all bogus. So, and it's a way to kind of cope with that you're not worthy. So that can't even be real. I am worthy. You guys are just fake. That's not real. And I just lived my whole adult life like that, protecting myself. But what I realized is that, it is real, and you'll be empty your whole life until you come back to God. Like no amount of money, no amount of success, nothing fills the hole. The same voice that I heard that told me that I needed to go introduce women to Jesus in 2019 said, whisper. I was sitting in my office. The Holy Spirit speaks to me when I'm alone in my office and was like, "Do you know Jesus?" That's the exact words. Exact words. So what does someone do when they hear that? I'm sitting alone in my office, an atheist for my entire life. Do you know Jesus? And I'm like, you know what I did? Google. I typed that exact phrase into Google. Do you know Jesus? You know what popped up? I couldn't make this up if I tried. There's how many websites? There's millions, hundreds of millions of websites. A website, when I typed that into Google, the first one that popped up was written by a woman that was a previously an atheist that had found Jesus and had the answers to all the science. And that was the website. It was as if a website was designed exactly for me to see and read that I could resonate with, to show me like, it's okay if you didn't believe before. You can know Jesus now. That's the website. And then literally, I just started going to church. It was like I got an invitation that you could come back. You're invited, Tara. Like you're worthy. And my whole life has changed since 2019. I've been
Oh,
to Israel. Like
God,
literally, my whole life has changed since
God
2019.
God did not stop pursuing you. He
I
didn't
know. I
do
know. When I tell you, like, I know, like my whole life. And he waits for you to be ready, but he doesn't give up.
no, and oh man,
I know. I'm telling you.
people listening right now that like you can relate to Tara. Like there's a reason that you're listening to this and like you've been pushing God off. But like if you take a step back, like think about in your life, like when has he tried to knock on the door and you just haven't answered it? Like he will continue to knock, his promise stays true. Like God will continue to knock on the door to like in to until you invite him in. He won't stop. And so when you hear Dara's story, like I just encourage you to lean into that if you have that feeling at all of like curiosity or anything that comes up when she's talking, because I will absolutely testify that there is no amount of money, fame,
No.
success, health, like material item, anything, even a relationship, even a child. I could even say my child. There's
Yeah.
nothing that compares to the greatness of like having Jesus, a personal relationship with him, and having the Holy Spirit live inside of you. You guys, every single day I notice that there's a spiritual battle that we're facing in our world, but we have the Holy Spirit and he continues to convict me and shape me. And I don't necessarily hear whispers, except I have heard them a couple of times. Really weird. One of them was that I needed to hire my assistant, which is like the craziest thing in the world because I was so stubborn with hiring, and Tara was working as coach when I didn't have any help. And that has changed now, but I remember him whispering her name when I was driving on this prayer drive one time, and it was the craziest thing. But for the most part, I don't hear an audible voice, but I feel this very strong sense of like, okay, I need to lean into that, or like
Mhm.
that is not for me. Like this opportunity or this person or this, investment is not for us. And so we need to back off. And so I just
Yeah.
lean into I always tell people, follow the peace.
Yes.
Where there is peace, there is Jesus. And so, like, my husband and I are praying over some different investment opportunities right now, whether we purchase another real estate property or put more money in different things. And whenever we follow the peace, we don't go wrong.
Yeah. And for a long time, I did not have peace. I just want to go back to something you said. Like, if anyone's listening to this, you're invited. Like, I never felt invited. And
Wow.
all it took was an invitation. And, oh, you're invited. Like, if anyone's ever told you you're not worthy, you're not, you don't belong, you feel like you've made mistakes, you feel like you've done things that people couldn't forgive you for, wrong, wrong, wrong. And you are invited, like, at any point, if you just turn towards him.
Yes.
That's it. That's literally it. It's done.
Right now, you can literally
Like,
do it. No.
yeah, it's so simple, but feels impossible if no one's just ever said the words. After that happened in 2019, I started going to church and just by myself and just inviting people. like, and one day I went to church with like 3 or 4 people that I invited that I didn't even know just from Facebook. Like they were strangers. And for some reason, that was the day I'm sitting there in the church, and I didn't even know it was baptism Sunday. And they said, if anyone feels called, and I totally just got up and got baptized that day. And I have the pictures. There were people there that I didn't even know were there. It was literally a feeling I can't even describe. I'm not even going to try to put words to it. When I got baptized and I felt completely different after it. I look back at the photos and you can just see like a level of happiness that I don't even think, to your point, is even in present, like in pictures of me when I've had my children. And I have 4 children who I love more than anything, like literally anything. And still, this look of like peace and just pure joy that is on my face the day that I got baptized, like after I just came out of the water. Sometimes I just look at that picture when I'm having a bad day because literally I'm just like, that is,
Wow. A glimpse of heaven, truly.
yes, yes, there's no other explanation for the feeling. And I want everybody to feel it.
Me
And
too.
again, like, I don't even really talk about this a lot because I feel not qualified, but we're qualified. Like, that's another
Well,
thing, like,
the enemy I it's the enemy tries to put that on us because I
yes,
the same way, like, I went to a Bible college, and I still feel so unqualified, and I think it's because the enemy wants us to quiet our voice and to talk about
yeah,
anything else but this, but
ugh,
it's just so fitting that this got naturally brought into our conversation today because it's really what the people need to hear, and the
yeah,
business coaching and the online space is such a blessing, and Tara and I both can continue to talk about that, and we will here in a minute share a few more things that have really helped us, but what I think God is trying to say through us in this episode right now is that none of it really matters if you don't have Jesus in your life.
yeah,
Yes, the success and the financial stability that we feel now that I did not feel 5 years ago. I don't think God wants us to be poor and to struggle and to stress about our finances every day. I don't think he wants that over us. But I also believe that none of this is ever going to fulfill that place in your heart that you're trying that void that you're trying to fill right now with another course or another program or another weight loss guide or whatever it may be. Like, they're all great, but it's never going to replace that void that you feel if you don't have him in your heart. And so lean into that if you feel called. And Tara and I both are resources if you have questions or one of the things people ask me a lot now is like what Bible should I get? And I always say I don't know what you read, Tara, but I love the New Living Translation because it gives me just this easier perspective to understand, especially for new
yeah,
believers. So that's something that I like to add too. But anyway, thank you for sharing that part of your story, Tara. It's
yeah,
so powerful. And I know that there's someone that needed to hear that today.
yes, okay, I love that. And, you're right, like, this is our testimony because every blessing I used to think that all of my success was because of my hard work, but it always felt like it was me doing all the hard work, like, I felt like it was a struggle, like, I don't feel like any success that I've ever had has come easy. I realize that it's not for me, it's for his glory, and he's been blessing me even when I couldn't see it, and even when things were hard, it literally prepared me because I've used all of that later. Like every skill, every bit of resilience, every bit of hardship has like later in hindsight when we have the benefit of that has been like, oh my gosh, I'm equipped for this. It's so crazy because all of our success and now as you go forward and you try to do hard things, like to your original question, like how were you able to pivot? Well, I had all those old limiting beliefs like, oh my God, no, I got to do this. I built all this. I built all this because I was like a baby Christian and it didn't feel comfortable to me to lean into that. But then I was like, wait a minute. Honestly, throughout my whole life, he has never, to your point, forsaken me ever. I've gotten through 100% of every hardship that I've ever come up against. And I've been able to be prepared for the next step, even when I didn't know what it was. Why can't I take this next step and just trust and have faith? It's all going to be fine.
Yes, and
Right?
something to add to that is people might have gone through something really tough and you might be wondering like, "Oh, this makes me emotional," because you might be feeling right now like, "Man, why did God do this to me?" And I
Oh
don't
my
believe
gosh.
I believe that God is using that and he's working through it. And so if you're struggling with something where you're like, "Man, why did my parent have to pass at a young age?" or "Why did I have to lose my child?" or something that's so heavy, like, I truly don't believe that God had that happen to you and wanted that for you. I don't believe that. I believe that He is gonna use it. He's
Mm-hmm.
gonna use it to
Yes.
His glory. And so
Yes.
you have to reframe the question of God, why are you doing this to me? I hate you. I don't like you. And say, okay, God, I don't like this. This is
Yes.
really uncomfortable or this sucks that I'm going through this. But how can you work and speak through me during this season so that I can bring you the glory? And a perfect example of this, whether you agreed with his ideologies or not, Charlie Kirk is a great example of what just
Mm-hmm.
happened where his life, was taken way too soon. But we can ask the question, God, how can you use this tragic experience to bring people closer to you? And so
Yeah.
I just had to add that too, because I know there's so many people that are maybe frustrated with God, like my husband. He was a very strong atheist and went through 10 years of recovery and addiction to drugs and alcohol, almost lost his life multiple times and lost his dad in the middle of it to suicide. And he has a very powerful story. And his outcome is that he hated God. And the first step for redemption was he had to look at God as an acronym, good orderly direction. And that was the only way that he was going to get through this because he couldn't even fathom saying the word. He hated it. He wanted
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with it. And then slowly those walls continued to break down because why? Because God continued to pursue him. And he realized that when he hit rock bottom, that there was literally nothing left for him. He's like, it's either death or jail or, I'm not going to be here anymore. And so he turned to God and everything in his life changed, like, I can't even explain. And so every single day people ask Andrew, like, "How's your day?" And he's like, his phrase is, "I am living the dream." He's like, "I am
Yeah.
living the dream because he has Jesus." And like, I think that's one of the things that people I think that's something that people listening, like Tara and I just are so passionate to share this with you today because we don't want you to miss out. Like, I don't want you to miss out on
No.
what he has for you. And anyway, that's all I'm gonna share on that. Sorry, I
And be open to it, right? And again, this I don't know how we took this turn. I think it's obviously meant for us to take this turn because this was not on my question reel, but it's like be open. I was so closed off just like your husband, right? Like I did. I lost my dad and my brother within
Oh,
8 days of each other in separate incidents when I was 28 years old and they were 56 and 26. And
oh,
I have so many things in my life to be like, "Ugh, God, if there was a God, which I don't even believe that there is because that's BS and there's science, like he's a terrible God. Like why would he do that? Like so many things. And you can be so close down and it's a way to cope and it's because of pain and it's because of suffering. I get all of that, but like as soon as I mean, it doesn't you don't even have to open the door. If there is a crack, he is like he is right there and ready to get in. And so if you can just find the soft space in your heart to just like be not even like you don't even have to admit or acknowledge anything. Just be open.
yeah.
I swear that's like
The invitation. Yeah.
oh, you just need the invitation and we're giving it to you. You're invited. And I
Yeah.
mean, again, I didn't mean for this to go this way, but you're right. Someone needed to hear this.
You
And it
did.
is so powerful. And my life has totally changed. Not to say it's without hardship, without struggles, without things that I worry about still, but it is such a different place to come from. I'm just like, no matter what,
Yeah.
to take this pivot, to leave my job when I have 4 kids, kids in college, all of the things. I'm the main wage earner in my family. Like a lot rests on my shoulders. And to just say, I have faith that this was placed in my heart for a reason.
Amen.
And fear made me deny it for long enough to where I couldn't deny it anymore that he's got it. And just since then, I've met you, so many amazing people have come in my life that I literally couldn't have orchestrated if I wanted to. I couldn't have paid people that have come in and helped me even if I wanted to, it wouldn't have worked. I couldn't have forced those relationships, those doors opening, those opportunities coming into my life. Literally, a pastor told me 4 years ago, our pastor, I met him within a year becoming a Christ follower and believing in Jesus. And again, feel like a complete imposter, a fraud. And he told me, he was like, "This is your story, Tara. You need to tell people." I'm like, "No, I don't tell people things." Literally, I've never told anybody this. So this is the first time on this podcast. I'm like, "I'm private. I don't want people to know. Like, I don't share." He's like, "No, this is for God's glory. This isn't for you." Number one. And number two, he goes, "Keep doing whatever you're doing because you're a child of God and God can't steer a parked car. But if you keep going forward, he's going to take you right where you need to go. Just trust." That has literally been my motto since then. God cannot steer a parked car. I have just been on, I guess, a new mission of I just say yes. Now I just follow. You want me to quit my job? You keep telling me it's going to work out. He brings an opportunity. He brings a relation. Yes, 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 yes. I just say yes. And every time something more amazing comes than I even thought was coming. It's so crazy.
I'm like having the chills thinking about this. I woke up and had this feeling that was like, "Oh, I need to I'm just going to cancel today. I'm just going to cancel the podcast." And I'm like, "But why would I do that? Like I don't have anything planned. Like I'm feeling a tiny bit of a cold coming on. I just need to cancel it." And I literally can now go back and hear that I was experiencing this spiritual battle going back and forth
Yes.
telling me to cancel and then saying no. And then what's really funny is I just listened to this episode real quick of a podcast last night that said, like, write down 3 things, and this is a good action item for anyone listening today. And it's like, write down 3 things that you want to accomplish today. Like, just 3. He's like, not
Yeah.
5, not 3. Like, what are 3 things every single day at the start of the day or the night before that, like, you want to get done today? And I had just heard that last night. And so when I woke up this morning, like, I'm going to try that. And one of the first things was I am so excited to talk to one of my past students, now friends, Tara, and like share her story and talk with her. And all of a sudden, after I'm writing this, I'm thinking, why am I wanting to cancel this? And again, that's the enemy. Like that is
That's
so real.
spiritual warfare. I will tell you that since becoming a follower of Jesus, that is real. I absolutely can feel when I am under spiritual warfare. I say it to my husband all the time. I'm like, something is off. It feels hard. My mind doesn't feel. I also read a prayer that was somebody had said, I pray every morning that when I wake up, God gets in there before I do because the enemy
Yeah.
controls our mind and we will get in our own mind with those thoughts and we don't even know why we're sabotaging ourselves. We don't know why we're not taking action. We don't know why we have fear and doubt and worry and anxiety and depression. And it's because the enemy will control our mind. We have to pray that God gets in there every morning. That's why you, first thing in the morning, like you have to read your Bible. You have to do scripture. You have to do something because his word is truth, not our minds. Our minds are liars and the enemy will get into our mind. And that is what happened this morning. And I feel it all the time too. And I have to be like, no, no.
Yes, he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. The enemy is
Yes.
so real. And so if he's coming, ask, and you could even ask ChatGPT, like, if
Yeah.
I was, what would I do today to like derail Jenna or Tara's day? And it's like, that is exactly what his mission is to steal your joy, to derail you from like God's best for you. And to attest with Tara with what she said, when I am in line with God's plan and God's will, I just want to encourage you guys too to say that like in business, in life, in relationship, you will take a wrong turn. Like
Yeah.
my husband and I have, we try to live not to be the parked car. We're constantly trying to move, but at the same time, we have made pivots in our life where we felt like we prayed and we really felt clarity about this decision. And maybe it was to sell one of our houses or to move our family or to change schools for our kids. And we have tried. And you want to know what happens every single time? If we are not on the right path, God corrects us. He
Yeah.
moves us back on the path that he wants for us. And so I release that like anxiety to get it perfect. Release
Yeah.
that like you have to get it right every single time because he will guide your path, right? He has your best interest, your best heart, your best life in mind. And so like ask him for that direction. And I believe, like Tara said, if you just have that tiny bit of in the Bible, it talks about it like a mustard seed of faith. If you just have that tiny, tiny bit of seed planted, like he's going to use it and then he will direct your path and open doors. And also one thing, Tara, I want to talk about real quick about investing in yourself is you have done such a phenomenal job at this, and I talk about this and about my own journey as well, and both of us have heavily invested in ourselves, and I think that that is something that maybe other people are nervous about, to be honest. I
Yeah.
have a lot of people in my audience who listen to me or listen to the show for, like, inspiration and best practices. They're not actually, like, wanting to pay money for themselves to, like, get in these rooms. They feel like either they've been burned in the past, they've had a bad
Yeah.
experience. They're like, "I am hesitant to do that because I can just learn the information online. I get this all the
Yeah.
time. I could just
Yeah.
Google it. Like, I'm just gonna learn it on my own. I don't need to pay someone." Like, how has that impacted your leadership ability, the growth that you've experienced? Like, how has that played a role in your life by just getting out of your own way?
Yeah. So that is a really good question. And it's also been something really powerful in my life. So, again, if we go back to when I was young and I'm not worthy and I'm the poorest kid in a school, I'm the, you know what I mean? All of these things that I needed to hide and be embarrassed of. And even besides having poverty and I wasn't worthy of the church, right? I was told for a very young age. I also had a wild family. I guess it's just like the nicest way to put it because I don't think it's my job to tell other people's stories, but
Yeah.
I had a family that broke the law, went to prison, robbed bank. Like, I mean, a lot of crazy stuff right in my home, okay? And so it was just a very unstable childhood where I was like, I can't let anybody know about our life. Nobody would talk to me, right? Like, I can't let people know where we live. When you're growing up and people are like, "What's your phone number?" And we don't have a phone, I can't let them know that. I'm like, "Give me your phone number. I'll call you." And I don't know how I'm gonna call them, right? I'm gonna walk down to the carryout. Like, just so many things that I had felt like I had to hide my whole life that as you get like, I realized very young I had to be, because again, I didn't have God. I wasn't worthy of him, right? I had to be the one that was going to make everything happen in my life. So Tara was gonna do it. I don't know if that again, all these things kinda get used for your good. So I was
Yeah.
like, Tara's gonna have to learn because I wasn't good at school. Like, it's not that I wasn't smart, it was that my life was so chaotic at home and my mom was working all the time. Like, she worked in the car sales and she would be at work till 10 o'clock at night. Like, there was nobody watching us, right? And so nobody was checking if I was doing my homework. And
Yeah.
what kid is going to really be doing their best if there's nobody checking on them? I was skating by, but I realized, to your point, you started your first job when you were 12. I started my first business when I was 11. It was the books and babysitting club, and I was going to go out and baby. Somebody trusted me with their brand new infant when I was only 11 years old. I have no idea why, but we're talking about, what was that? The 80s, like early, like it was like a different time. Like, that wouldn't happen nowadays. But I knew I had to make money. I had to be the one that was going to save Tara. And so as I got older, the first personal development thing I ever invested in was nothing big. It was like a cassette. I'm really dating myself. I'm older than you, Jenna. But it was like a cassette tape. And it was the art of small talk because I knew I got into real estate at 19. Okay. And that was just a fluke, even. I had a boyfriend in high school whose mom was a realtor. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, how am I going to make this? How am I going to make it? And it's got to be fast, right? Because there's no time. Like, my whole life we've been struggling. So she made it look glamorous. She had a convertible. She would go out to lunches. And I was like, yes, that's the thing right there, right? So I'm getting my real estate license right away, like as soon as I could. But I knew I wasn't actually good at talking to people because my whole life I had to be very shut off. So actually growing up, like, kids thought I was kind of maybe they thought I was stuck up, maybe they thought but I was just very guarded because, like, I couldn't really let you know about my life. Like, nobody would want to be friends with Tara if they really knew, like, about our
Yeah.
life. So I was just very guarded. Like, I didn't share. And so I knew, I'm like, you don't know how to talk to people, Tara. So my first ever cassette tape training was the art of small talk. So I'm like, I'm gonna get into sales. I'm gonna have to, like, I know I'm not good at it. I learned how to, like, just do small talk. And then I invested in Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry's dad back then, right? And it
No.
just started going. Oh yeah. I was listening to the VHS tapes, watching them in the back room of my broker's office, cold calling out of the white pages. Like, I was like, okay, we got to get some skills here. We've got to be able to make this happen because there's no safety net. There's no plan B. There's nobody I can call And I had my daughter very young, so I got pregnant with my daughter, and I had her I'm technically considered a teen mom because I had her when it was, like, 21 days before I turned 20, so I was technically still 19, okay? And so my kids joke that I was a teen mom. I was like, "I was 20." They're like, "No, you weren't. You were 19."
Technically.
And so, because the hospital even put on there, like, "Teen mom." I'm like, "I'm 19." Like, after 18, like, I'm like, "I have a serious job." Like,
Yeah.
like, I'm not a teen mom, but I technically was. And I just had no safety net. So it was like, "You've gotta learn skills, Tara." I went to college. I didn't finish because I thought I wanted to be a news anchor. I had my real estate license and going to school. Well, school was expensive. I realized I didn't want to be a news anchor because they only made $40,000 a year and had to get up at 4 a.m. and do their own makeup. I was like, oh, I thought it was a little bit more glamorous than that. And I realized it wasn't so glamorous. I'm like, I need to make more money. And so I'd already started doing better in real estate. I'm like, this is it. This is what I'm going all in on. I've always been the type that we just like burn the boats. Like, there's no going back. We burn the boats, then we have to succeed. I joke I work better under pressure, but like that's kind of how it is. If you burn the boats and you don't give yourself a plan B, you're a lot more likely to fail. There's even science to back that up. So I think that when you realize you don't have the skill and you don't also have a plan B to go back to, you will find the skill, which means you might need to invest in yourself.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people, they've lied to themselves so many times and given up on dreams and not followed through on things that they said they were going to do that they just don't have confidence in themselves. That's why they're afraid to invest their money. If you tell someone something's $5,000 or $2,000 and they're like, they already know in their mind all the times that they've lied to themselves, that they haven't followed through on a commitment, that they haven't had the discipline to do it and they haven't got a result. And so it's not even that they don't have confidence in you, like in your program. It's they don't have confidence in themselves. I think the most powerful thing is if I've always had to have confidence in myself because there was nobody else that was coming to save me. But I've seen that in people when they don't have confidence in themselves, you almost have to lend them your belief in them. Like, take some of my belief in you because I know you could do this. You don't believe you could do it,
But I
but
do.
I know you could. So if you don't believe it yet, borrow some of mine, take my belief. I'll be there with you and we will do it together. Because that's why people don't want to invest in themselves. They're afraid to lose the money because not because they don't believe in you and your product, they don't believe in themselves that they'll follow through to get the result. So
Amen.
sometimes they just need a mentor. That's why you need a mentor. That's why you can't go to the free content on YouTube. That's why you can't just watch that because you're going to give up on yourself again.
Yes.
You need somebody. You need the guide, the accountability. You need the support to
Yeah.
someone to believe in you when you're not believing in yourself.
This is literally what I just sent my inner circle group last night. I said, people don't need more information. They need mentorship.
Yes,
Need
yes.
mentorship. And that is so relatable to everything I've experienced, to what you're saying. It's so true. And I mean, talk about, the future of the coaching program, or the coaching future and courses, and people will ask, like, "What do you think? Is it still gonna be here?" Absolutely. I think
I think
coaches are not new. It's not a new thing. We've had
no.
this for a long time. It just looks differently, throughout the seasons of social media and the way that our technology changes, but I just believe that it's never going anywhere because, wow, we need that person that's gone through what we're going through, that can look at it
Yep.
from a different vantage point and say, "Hey, you're actually," if my husband always says this example, he's like, "I'm cutting a piece of board and it's this close in front of me and I'm building this house," and the guy in the back's like, "Hey, bro, you're measuring on the inside wall. You need to measure on the outside." Like,
Yeah.
you just don't see it sometimes when you're this close in front of it, and so you get
Mhm.
someone that's in your corner that's literally on your team telling you like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I want you to do this faster. I'm gonna help you do it better and win, in an even bigger way." So I love that perspective you just gave.
And also, it's like shortcuts. And I'm a big mentorship you know what I mean? Like, I do. I invest a lot. So, people can start small, although I am sort of a believer that we all have different financial pain tolerance.
Yes.
So as you get doing this more and more, like I might go spend $500 on something and never open it again because I'm so busy and I've got things and I'm doing all this stuff. And maybe I want the information, I'm going to get to it. But my financial pain tolerance is now higher. So I might not show up with my all of my attention and focus for $500, right?
Yes.
But if I go pay 30,000 for something, right? Which I've multiple times. Like I've paid up to $100,000 for a mentor, you show up. Oh, I'm right there. First
Yes.
call. I'm early because you know what? Like you're going to get your money's worth. Like you put a lot on the line. And the bigger the stakes, the better you show up. And that's that saying, right? People that pay attention. When stuff's free, it's like a free gym membership. People don't even show up. But if you paid a lot of money to a trainer,
You're gonna show
prepaid, not just committed, but prepaid, you are going to get your money's worth because you worked hard for that money, right? It wasn't easy. It's not easy. I do think that people need to, it's not like put, like back it up with your, what does it say in the Bible? Where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be. If you really care about a transformation, about a change, and you know that you're struggling to get there on your own, investing in yourself in a mentor is the best way to do it because
Yeah.
it is going to be somebody that's on your side that wants to see you succeed and that is going to help you do it. And the likelihood that you do it are much higher if you've got accountability and someone checking on you, right? It's for everybody. It's
Yep.
for all
One
of us.
one of my favorite phrases I heard Alex Hormozy say, this was, like, probably 6 years ago. He said that his best ROI has been from the S&P 500, not the S&P.
Yes. I love that too when he says that. Yeah.
Reminds me of also the parable of the talents in the Bible where it talks about, like, we hold on and there was, like, 3 sons and 2 of them were holding on so tightly to their money and burying it and, like, hiding it
Yes.
and, like, invested in it.
And multiply.
And God
Yes.
that's exactly what I was asking for, and so I love not only talking about, like, investing in yourself, but investing in with the money that you earn, like, there's so much
Yeah.
we could get into with that, just being an example, and also an example to so many, myself included, like, Tara came into my world, and I was so grateful to be able to get to know her and thought that, "Oh, great, like, this is such a blessing that I could pour into her. But really, at the end of the day, I realized like she was such a blessing for me that I learned so much. And I actually got to meet her in person at one of my first events I did last year. She just came in and just there's this light and this spirit about you that is so contagious. It's so fun to be around. And so I know we're gonna be connected for life. I just adore you. So
Yeah. I told you back then, I think, I was like, "I know we're gonna work together. We're
yep.
gonna do some we're gonna do stuff together," right? And I do like, I am a big person, to kind of, play and add on to what I said earlier. You mentors will help you go faster. I have learned now at my age, I'm like, okay, I'm 45, I'm going to be 46. I don't want to waste 2 years trying to figure something out. I've already wasted enough time, right? Like I didn't follow the calling. I delayed and I doubted and I worried. And now that I'm following the calling, like just show me the best way. I don't want to step on landmines that I didn't even know were there when I could just ask you because you've already done it. Please tell me the way. It's going to help
Yeah.
me go faster. I'm going to avoid these things that I don't need to like learn the hard way. I do agree that in life there is wisdom that comes from making mistakes and doing it wrong. We can also just go a little easier path by going to someone that we respect and care about that we've seen has walked the path before, right? And so that is another reason that I'm just like, I feel like mentors are so important, which kind of leads to my next question. So,
Yeah.
you, real estate agent, transitioned to social media, digital courses, all of the things that you now have that you're helping your students with, right? But give me some of the like gritty behind the scenes, like mistakes, the messy middles, like when you were figuring it out, because that's where a lot of your students are, or even agents and students that I work with, they're in that beginning where it feels really hard.
Yes.
Nothing feels like it's maybe working. And they have a lot of doubt, right? Because when it's foggy like that, there is a lot of doubt. And then that can lead to anxiety. And you're like, your belief can shift down. So
Yeah.
I think share like about where you were when you made that pivot yourself and how it felt.
That's a great question. And I don't think it's by accident that I just had a student ask me about that season of my life this morning, and I wanna touch on it because it's the part where I call it the messy middle, and so many people give up in the messy middle because they don't see the payoff, and they're like, this isn't working." I started digital products and marketing and getting more on social media in the thick of my real estate business. Like I was knee deep, and like I shared earlier, I was really stubborn to hiring a lot of help because
Yeah.
of whatever limiting beliefs I had in myself, and felt like I needed to do it all on my own, and no one could do it better than me. And God really broke that down for me now, and thankfully I don't struggle with that anymore. But for a while I did. And so I was doing a lot of this myself and wearing multiple hats. I want to just share for a second. I actually recorded a video on this morning. That it is going to be a lot of work right now, and it should feel a bit heavy. I talk about our work feeling light and scalable and fun now, but I had to get through that period of time where I was working a full-time job, building my
Mhm.
real estate business, trying to keep that afloat because that paid the bills for my family.
Yeah.
And I was the breadwinner for my family, the only one that was bringing in an active income. My husband helps a lot with so many things, and he homeschooled our kids at the time, and he was building houses, and there was some money he was making for investments for us, but it wasn't paying our actual bills. And so if we wanted to eat, if we wanted to pay our mortgage, like it was relying on me. And so, in addition to that, I also had this huge desire to start helping people that were messaging me, hey, can you look at my social media? Hey, why am I not converting? Why am I not growing on social? Like asking me all these questions. And so, I'm in the middle of these two things, and I launched my first product, you guys, thinking I am like, I've made it, like, this is my product. I worked, so hard. I'm going to teach people to use a whiteboard to hit all their goals, and like they're going to crush it at real estate. And I launched this product, and it sells 3 times for $67 each time over 30 days. Three total sales over 30 days. And I'm like,
So you made like 108, like $200, not even like $200 exactly.
sub 200. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I just closed like 3 real estate transactions that probably yielded me like, 50 grand. This is not what it's cracked up to be. Like, I don't even
Yeah.
know talking about we're going to starve if I go down this path. This isn't going to work. And so this was back in late 2022, by the way. I am
Mhm.
almost at my 3-year anniversary of being in the digital marketing space. And I just thought, man, this is rough. Like, this is actually a lot harder than I think people make it out to be. But I didn't stop there. That was where I had to go back to the drawing board and start listening better. I think this is something that someone needs to hear today. You may think that you know the best product or the best path, but like, what are your people saying to you? What are you hearing? Where are people struggling? Like, just listen. Take a minute to listen to like their pain and their struggles. And my mentors over the years have always asked me, like, do you know what the pain is? Like, if you're going to try to sell someone on something, like, are they experiencing pain? I've had people sell to me, and I'm like, wait, guys, you're trying to sell me something that I'm not even struggling with. Like, I don't have pain
Yeah.
there. So you're wasting your time. So I had to go back to that, and I realized that I was putting some products out there that maybe I thought would be fancy, or would be great, but I realized that I was a little bit off, and I just needed to like course correct a tiny bit and change my direction. And so I ended up launching one-on-one mentorship, which was chaos because getting on a bunch of one-on-one calls is not the best for your time when you're already so busy raising 2 kids
Mhm.
that are 3 years old and all the things. But at the same time, I learned so much in those one-on-one calls. So I'm kind of a big advocate for doing some element of one-on-one early on in your career, because you get to like get these intimate relationships with people and understand really individually where people are struggling and see how much your work is impacting them. So that was really what was the catalyst. And then I started launching courses. But I want to go back to Tara's question around like, how do you kind of get through that? And I would say, for me, my expectation, this was probably the thing that carried me through, is I had this reset of an expectation after my 30-day trial of like, wow, this is not what it's cracked up to be, that I was going to continue to focus on real estate and continue to
Mhm.
just head down knee deep and not give up on anything I was doing on there. But everything with digital marketing was extra. So we actually created a separate bank account, my husband and I, and we put any money I made, that $200 that, the one-on-ones made me like 10 grand,
Humble beginnings, that's what that's called, humble beginnings.
like a few thousand, and then it turned into $10,000. And I was like, wow, this is still, you have to understand, I'm used to making these higher numbers with real estate.
Yeah.
So this is not that impressive for me.
Yeah.
But we put it in a separate account that we didn't touch. It was completely on its own. And I remember my husband checking it one day and being like, there's $22,000 in this account. Like, this is crazy, Jenna. Like, did you even know this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I knew that. I just wasn't, telling you." And so I think when you have that expectation of like, okay, it doesn't have to work like right now. It will, and I'm going to work towards a goal, but I don't have to put I'm hesitant with the advice I'm giving because I love how Tara says like she had to make it work, but I
Yeah.
also think that there's um this other perspective I want to offer for some of you that are putting so much pressure on your digital product or course to like sell immediately today. And if it doesn't, then you're going to pivot or change course or just give up. And I want to ask you to maybe have another stream of income. For me, this is what helps. I had this other stream of income that was paying our bills, and all of this was extra. And I knew that now I came from a place of abundance and not this desperation of like, you have to buy this course or program. And I started
Mhm.
to recognize that as this account grew, I was able to back off on the time that I was spending so much in real estate. And eventually I made this full pivot and actually uh, now outsource my real estate transactions completely to a team, and I don't handle the day to day at all. I just get the referral, and now I'm fully a coach. But it did take a lot of messiness in the middle where you have to be juggling a lot of different balls, and it is a lot. My client today asked me, how much time did you realistically spend working in that middle season where you're really trying to build this brand, but also still pay the bills? And I'm like, you work a lot more. I worked
Yeah.
then than I do now. So
Mhm.
just want to share that realistic perspective for people that may feel like it's going to be so easy and they're just going to step into this and launch their first program and sell out.
Well, and I think that actually, and both of you and I come from real estate. So even when we're talking about coaching or digital courses or, pivoting in that way, that's true for real estate too, right? Like everybody thinks it's so easy to get into real estate and it's just going to be, we're just going to get our license and start cashing these commission checks. And they don't realize that anything worth having or that is going to be successful is going to take work. And that is the thing. I think it's the lie in digital products, it's the lie in coaching, it's the lie in real estate where it's just like, hey, you could do this part time, just an hour or two a week, and you're going to be making six figures right away. And they make it sound so easy that when people really get into it, and that's why I really wanted to ask this question. And I think it's so true that you said that, and it works for real estate too. That's a lie. That is a lie. And those lies will have you give up. Just like you said, when it gets really hard, you're going to think you're doing it wrong. You're going to think you're a failure. You're going to think something's not right. And you don't realize that the lie is that it's going to be easy. It's going to be fast. It's going to be, it's going to be hard. It's going to take more work. Alex Hormozy says this. It's going to take way more work and way more time than you anticipated and longer. And so you've got to get through that knowing that that's the real truth. There's
Yes.
nothing wrong with you. There's probably nothing wrong with your offer. There's probably nothing wrong with anything. You just had wrong expectations. When whether you became a real estate agent, whether you became a course creator, whether you became a coach, I'm sorry, somebody just set wrong expectations for you and we all want the magic pill. We all want to be able to lose all of our weight in 2 weeks and be in fabulous shape, and then when it doesn't happen we're like something's wrong with me. This doesn't work. This program stinks. This like real estate's a scam. No, you just had wrong expectations because somebody lied to you and told you that you were going to be successful the first week. No.
Men.
Oh my gosh. That is a big takeaway. Jesus and hard work.
Takeaway of our podcast and our show tonight. And I love every single thing that you just shared because I just listened to someone who's really successful online talk about their lifestyle now. And they talk a lot about their journey now and what their day to day looks like. And I've done this at times because you want to paint a picture and you want to show people what's possible.
Yes.
But I recorded a video this morning because I felt so convicted that, man, people need to hear what it's like in the middle of it, in the thick of it, to understand that that is normal and to keep going. And so, if you got anything out of this, yeah, keep working hard, keep your head down, and put Jesus first in your life. And I think your life will look unrecognizable a year from now.
Yeah. We could just wrap it up. That was awesome. Um,
I think so
yeah.
too. Share with our followers, Tara, where people can find you if they wanted to follow up with you or look up anything you're doing.
Yeah. So Instagram would probably be the best, but I'm on Facebook. I'm on everywhere, right? LinkedIn, all of the places. But on Instagram, it is She Builds Success, Tarah Santos, and you could probably attach it like I will to this
Yep.
podcast. But right there, and then I have links in my bio and in all the things. But yeah, this has been amazing. And you, Jenna, you share where they can find you, where
I
I
just
found you.
Brian Peterson, typically on Instagram. I also have my podcast, but mostly on Instagram. And come say hi. You can send me a DM and I respond to those.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So I just want to thank you for sharing that about the messy middle. And just, we kind of already wrapped up what our takeaway was, but there is opportunity all throughout our life. We have to have the eyes and the mind and the heart to see it. And then we have to have the faith and the courage to take action on it. I think that the truth here is that everyone is worthy. Everyone is capable. Everyone is invited. It's not going to be easy no matter how social media makes it look. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take hard work. And if you're having to do all those things, you're not doing it wrong. That's actually what everyone's going through. But I think on social media, they love to make it look easy. But that's just not the truth. And the truth is, yeah,
One of my favorite quotes, and I just want to add to what Tara just said, is you're watching on social media someone's highlight reel
yeah.
while you're living the behind the scenes.
Yes. But the behind the scenes is the messy middle. And every single one, everybody has one of those. Anybody that's successful has that. So if you're in that, I mean, honestly, I'm 18. I'm not even 18 months in. I'm only 6 months into going full time into what I'm doing now. I'm in the messy beginning and the messy middle. It is not, it is work every day, but I'm here for it. Like I already knew that's what it was going to be. And I think if we just have right expectations, we have the faith, we have the commitment to ourselves. You work the plan is working. That's all you need to know. Have faith in that. I mean, come on. Amen. Like it's working, right? Like we're all just working the plan. How many messages have we sent where we're like, we will even share something on social media like, what? Like you're going to have the dips. It's part of the plan. That's the
Always.
Yeah, it's
We
like,
all struggle with it, and we still do. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. The most successful people you see online, they're struggling with something. We all have
oh yeah.
problems. It's a matter of they continue to get up and keep going after it, and they don't let that problem derail the plan. And so they
No.
find a way to attack it.
Yeah, it's solutions. When you have a problem, it is not to stop. It's like, okay, what's the solution? We will find solutions. Like that's the thinking right there. Solutions.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. You've been amazing. Thank you. And I can't wait for this episode actually. Like not at all that the way I thought it was going to go, but I think it's turned out perfect.
Me too. I'm so grateful. Thank you for being on the show, Tara, and I'll see you soon.